I will call to order the Haywood County Board of Commissioners meeting for April 3rd, 2017, and ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for this day and allowing us to live in this beautiful area. Give us guidance as we make decisions for our citizens and our county. Look over and protect our children, our elderly, and those in need. Protect our service people overseas who protect our freedom, and protect those who protect us here at home. We ask you for your guidance and blessings. In your name, amen.
Okay, first up we have the public comment session, and we ask speakers to limit their talking to approximately 3 minutes. We've had one person that has signed up, and anyone after that that wants to come up can do so. Dr. Wall.
Thank you, and I appreciate this opportunity, and I appreciate you all being here Monday morning to take care of the business of the people of our county. Thank you very much for your service. As a pediatrician in Haywood County for over 28 years, I have been the chief of staff of our hospital and the president of our county medical society. I've taken care of over 100,000 patient encounters in my years here. So I think I speak with some credibility and perspective in the issues I'm going to present to you this morning. This is a resolution I offer for your consideration. Whereas over 4,000 people in Haywood County still have health insurance thanks to the Affordable Care Act. And whereas an additional 4,000 children in Haywood County still have health care thanks to Medicaid and the Supplemental Children's Health Insurance Program, known as Health Choice. And whereas many senior citizens of Haywood County rely on Meals on Wheels, home heating assistance, and other social benefit programs to make their lives more secure and healthy. And whereas the termination or drastic reduction of these and other federally funded programs as currently threatened by certain members of Congress and the Trump administration's proposed federal budget would cause irreparable harm and even death to an undetermined number of Haywood County residents, and whereas the goal of the aforementioned threatened changes in the federal budget would be a massive and unnecessary tax cut to people such as the CEO of a certain major insurance company who earned $102 million in 2015, and based on a 40-hour work week, that's $47,000 an hour. Therefore, be it resolved that the Haywood County Commissioners call upon our elected representatives at the state and national levels to oppose any cuts in health care and other critical programs for the residents of Haywood County, and to expand Medicaid in North Carolina, to work together to fix the shortcomings of the Affordable Care Act without destroying its many positive features, and further, that they be warned that if it occurs, the destruction of the publicly funded parts of the health care system and other critical parts of the safety net that exists for our most vulnerable citizens will be laid at their doorstep, and every effort will be made to expose their complicity in this moral outrage. Thank you. And I've provided copies of that to you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Wall. Okay, would anyone else like to speak this morning? I have no one else signed up. Okay, if not, we'll move to constituent concerns. Mike?
Nothing right now.
I don't.
Okay, that's good. And Dr. Wall, thank you for your comments, and we'll take that into consideration. Next, we have administrative agency reports, which we don't have any this morning. Next is the discussion adjustment to the agenda. I know we need to add to closed session. We're going to review closed session minutes, and I'll add that and announce the statute at the time. Anyone else have any discussion before we start the consent agenda or adjustment to the agenda? All right, if not, we'll move to the consent agenda. The first item is request approval of the March 20th, 2017 regular meeting minutes. Does anyone have any changes, corrections to those minutes? All right. If not, we'll move to the approval of budget amendments. Julie Davis, our finance director, will come with the first one dealing with the sheriff's office, and if you'll announce and tell the public a little bit about that, Julie.
Good morning. The first budget amendment I have is actually a bit of a combination one. The first one, the $51,100, you might not recognize the amount, but you'll recognize what this is for. A week or so ago, or a meeting or so ago, you approved the Appalachian Community Services contract with the Sheriff's Office, and they are going to be paying for him to supply a resource officer, a safety resource officer for their entity. So this is putting in the budget the amount they're going to pay us to cover 100% of that expense. And the $4,000 is actually donations that the Sheriff's Office has received, and he'll be using these to cover camera equipment to use by the Criminal Investigation Division.
Okay, Commissioners, have any questions about that particular budget amendment? All right. I thought that was nice that somebody's donating $4,000.
Yep.
Next is a general fund item.
This next one is, you're going to see a few of these in the next few meetings. This is kind of a close to the year-end cleanup, so to speak. This is also a combination. $88,900 is to cover some expenses that are coming in over budget in the general fund, mostly some legal expenses regarding personnel matters, revaluations, and appeals in the tax office. There's also some expenses in here related to public safety. We're doing some other detention fees. We have to house inmates in other counties occasionally, and we have to pay those counties. And we hadn't budgeted quite enough for that at the beginning of the year. And there's $5,500 here for to increase the motor vehicle line item in the sheriff's office so that he'll be able to get a vehicle after some insurance proceeds, and I think some sales of other vehicles have occurred. There's also $23,000 for E911 for salaries for part-time staff in the 911 center. And in addition to that, there's $445,400 Tourism Development Authority occupancy tax contract. We collect the money for TDA and then we send them the money. And it is coming in, occupancy tax is coming in quite a bit over what we had budgeted this year.
All right, Commissioners, have any questions about those comments?
Just like to make a comment, especially like on the occupancy tax and all that, you know, it's having a pretty decent year with tourism, and you know, it's helps to generate more tourism.
Exactly.
Okay, next item then regarding the dental office.
The next couple of budget amendments I have are actually combinations, and our Health and Human Services Agency Director is here. He can come and speak to some of these if you'd like. The first one is the Health Department. This is the dental office for $11,185. This is to increase some of the fees coming in from Medicaid to cover some of the additional expenses. Apparently, there's more activity in the dental office than there has been and more than we had budgeted for. So this is to cover those expenses, and this is a Medicaid reimbursement.
Any questions about that? That kind of speaks to the fact that there are a lot of dentists in town that aren't accepting Medicaid patients anymore, and so we have more people that are utilizing the dental office for their dental work.
Mm-hmm. And the last budget amendment I have is also a combination. This is $8,973,000 for state funding for food and lodging inspection program, and $30,833 for the state grant for the Zika virus containment program. And Stoney Blevins is here to speak to either one or both of those budget amendment items if you'd like to hear some more information.
Okay, sure. And Stoney, if you want to make a comment about the dental office as well while you're up there, you go ahead and inform us.
And I actually brought you one thing I'd like to say about the dental office is that I think sometimes is a misperception is this dental office is for any citizen of Haywood County. I met a gentleman recently, was just talking to him in general, told me that he was driving over to Tennessee to get his dental work done because he doesn't have any dental insurance, and that was the cheapest dentist he could find that would allow him to pay privately. So I said, well, did you realize we have a dental office right here in Haywood County, and that would be glad to serve you, and he did not. So just want folks to know that we're open to any citizen, and the nice thing about our dental clinic is we're not trying to make a profit. We just try to break even, and so we offer our services at the lowest cost possible to folks who do not have insurance. We also take Medicaid, and we even bill some private insurances. And the increase that you see this year is really because we are seeing more patients, so we need more supplies. And we also started offering crowns and bridges this year for citizens who need that service and can't get it.
Tony, would they just call and make an appointment?
Yeah, just call and make an appointment.
Generally, would you know how far out they generally are?
Right now, our patient load has increased to the point that if you're coming in for your initial visit, we're about 2 months out on that, just due to our scheduling.
What if they have an emergency?
If you have an emergency, we certainly would try to work
You
it
do try
in.
to work that in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that, Stoney. Go ahead with the next item.
In terms of the Zika thing, we're kind of excited about this. We have a couple of staff that we are getting certified to be specialists in this area. One of them actually is already certified. So we're working hand in glove with Western Carolina University and the state epidemiologist, and that's why we're able to get this additional $30,800 because we're sort of serving as a test lab for this. So we set traps out. We collect the eggs and the larvae, and then we test them to see if it's the type of mosquito that carries the Zika virus, and then we send those over to Western Carolina and work with the state epidemiologist. So the nice thing is it's a very preventive measure for us. So if we were to have those types of mosquitoes in Western North Carolina, we would know first here in Haywood County and actually would benefit all of Western North Carolina. And this money will actually go to pay for the staff time to do these services.
Okay. And Stoney, could you tell the public, I mean, just for the public's benefit, what are the main causes of the mosquito buildup and risk of the Zika virus?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest danger for us in terms of mosquitoes really is standing water. So if you want to do one thing to protect yourself against any kind of mosquito-borne illness, and may not be the Zika virus, we're very unlikely to have that in Western North Carolina, but there's other things that mosquitoes carry. Really, it's just, we call it tip and toss. So anytime you pass standing water on your property or where you are, just turn it over. I have rain barrels at my house. I turn those things over every time I walk past them because that's the danger, is just standing water. Mosquitoes can breed incredible amounts in something as small as a Dixie cup of water. So really standing water is your biggest risk. The other thing is just to wear insect repellent. If you're going to be outside all day going for a hike, just spray yourself down with repellent. If you do those two things, you'll be pretty safe.
Okay. Any questions for Stoney?
No.
All right.
Yeah, sure. You can ask anything you want to.
All right, when you have standing water, what if you're feeding animals, like a dog? I mean, if the water's moved around,
Yeah.
is that?
That's a good question. Obviously, you're going to keep your animals, water for your animals, but in that situation, and I'm certainly not an epidemiologist, so I don't want to go too far here, but with animals coming back and forth to that water, you know, they are moving that water a little bit, so it's not the same as, you know, old tires or buckets you have sitting around that just sit there, you know, undisturbed for days and days on end.
Okay. Thank you, Stoney. Next item is also Stoney's. You can stay right there if you want to. Request approval of revisions to the Haywood County Health and Human Services Agency Board bylaws and operating procedures. That's attachment 5.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stoney.
So I bring these upon recommendation of the Health and Human Services Board, and really every year as a part of our accreditation process, we go through our bylaws and procedures, and we really just make minor changes that might have occurred the year before. So if you read through this, one of them is when we were appointed, or our board was appointed by the commissioners to serve as the Dangerous Animal Review Committee. So now you'll see that reflected in our bylaws. We talked a little bit more about how we post vacancies, so we just clarified that a little bit more when we have a vacancy on the board. There's nothing really all that big in here. It's mainly just cleanup and clarification, and Commissioner Rogers actually serves as the chair of this committee, so he's pretty well versed in these changes.
Brandon, you have any comments about that?
No, I'd just like to thank the board and Stoney and Amy for all their hard work. We made the decisions and Amy run off to do all the work for us, so I'd like to thank her for that. But done a good job. Just a few changes, but thank her for the better. So.
All right. Any commissioners have any questions of Stoney or Brandon? All right. Thank you, Stoney.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
that.
you.
Anyone have any comments about anything on the consent agenda or commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and that passes unanimously. We don't have any old business. We have one item for new business. That's a request approval of the reclassification of the three-quarter administrative assistant 2 position in the tax collection office to a full-time position to be split between tax collections office and register of deeds. Ira?
Good morning, Commissioners and Mr. Chairman and members of the public. Yes, we reviewed the need for personnel in the different areas and continue to do that. Presently, in the tax office, there's been a vacancy in a three-quarter position, and the vacancy has been since August of last year. And we discussed this vacancy in the fall of last year and looked at making a full position for the tax office from the three-quarter position. After review and after further conversation with the tax collector, Mr. Mike Matthews, and also some conversations in reviewing a request for personnel in the coming budget by the Register of Deeds, Ms. Sherry Rogers, it makes sense to add 1/4 of a position and to the three-quarter position, and then to split the position between the two departments. Here's the thought process behind that. As Ms. McClure reviewed last fall related to the tax collector's office, there is, in comparison with other counties, some justification for the position remaining in the office. And also, and I'll have Mr. Matthews come forward in a moment to speak to some of the work that the half-time position would do, as requested previously. In addition, when I've reviewed the numbers that were presented by Ms. Rogers, and she presented numbers going back to 2011, 2012, and look at the number of transactions that consistently go on and look at her staffing, the transaction numbers, and they're on target again this year to have that many, range in the high 8,000 to 9,000 on real property transactions. And then they do a whole bevy of other things like UCC transactions, marriage licenses, excise stamps, and others. So they also get paid revenues for the transactions that they do. They get to keep a portion, and a portion goes to the state. So if you look at their numbers and you look at the revenues, you know it's trending upward a little bit, and has been for probably 5 years. And when you look at the fact with their staffing, this sometimes makes it difficult for them to go to lunch and stuff like this, because the numbers are there, the people are there, and the need to follow up. So they've reached the point that it makes sense that you would add a half position. I could not say that the numbers and this is probably debatable with Ms. Rogers because she thinks it's reached the point you would need a full-time, but I think it has reached the point you would need that half-time person so that they can consistently go to lunch. If one of them's out, then they're all there at the desk. They have to have 2 people to serve the public, the way their model runs and the way their business runs at all times. So they run a very small staff with Ms. Rogers and 3 assistants. So this would allow them some flexibility if someone gets out sick, someone goes on vacation, someone goes to lunch, to make sure they're properly staffed. and their numbers and the revenues would justify that. So,
Commissioners, have any questions of Ira right now? Okay. Mike, Sherry, y'all, just come on up if you want to have any, you want to talk about this? Or?
Good morning. Yeah, our main reason we've got is coverage. Like right now, when we have somebody out, which we do, we'll have somebody out for another month or so on with a medical issue, and when she's not there, if we're having to pull, usually she's somebody that sits in the back that does, you know, the attachments and the different enforcement things that we do while we have the two on the counter. When she's not there, we could still operate like we are right now, but if somebody else in the office gets sick or can't be there, that's when we really start to struggle. So a halftime would really cover our need for just extra coverage.
So, but you got the quarter now, and we're just going up and adding another.
Right.
part.
Well, actually, we've got the 3/4 now budgeted.
Okay.
So we'll drop a quarter from us, and then she'll pick one up.
Okay, but you're okay with that?
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's mainly for coverage for us, and
You think that's for your workload and all, that's going to be sufficient for
yeah,
you to do
I
what
think
you
so.
need to do?
I think so. And Sherry and I have spoke with a few times of scheduling and how we could work that out, and I think it'll benefit both of us.
Commissioners, have any questions of Mike?
Mike, you feel that extra coverage will be enough, will be sufficient for you?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Sherry?
Well, I think Ira pretty much covered everything that I had to say. Just my numbers have climbed I have reports here from 14, and 2014, our revenues were $822,500, and this year through March, the end of March, $925,643, and the previous years. Last year I had $1,200,000. The previous year before that, $1 million. So each year it's climbing up $100,000, $200,000, and everything. That's total numbers. But real estate's definitely things seem to be improving in our county as far as real estate sales, and our coverage has been bad for years. But we work it out. But there are times, if someone's out sick or on a vacation and we have an emergency appointment or something, then there's no, there's two people at the counter, no way to go to lunch. And I mean, that's been a problem for years for us. But I do feel like I could keep a full-time person busy, but I'm grateful, to have anything I'm getting, so.
Yeah, sure.
Jerry, how much increase have you had this year from?
Well, it's kind of, I ran a report Friday that was through like March 30th, and as far as numbers go, our money was $158,000 more than the same time period last fiscal year.
You can more than cover
Yeah.
that, and even another person if you.
Yes,
I know.
I definitely could support it.
Because I know y'all are doing a lot. We just had that program on e-file,
Yes.
and a lot of times you don't see a lot of people standing there, but it's coming in online.
Right, yeah.
And you're making those payments. Making those recordings.
We have 30-some% of our recordings are electronic. So we're doing the same thing, and there's just nobody standing there. And Kevin is speaking of, we had a class with the Secretary of State last week or a couple weeks ago on electronically filing plats, which we are doing. We have recorded 2 electronically now, and so we're just starting to see, more and more of that.
Yeah, I do want to compliment Sherry on her office, like e-filing, when they were doing that, when we were figuring out how to do e-file plats. Not all counties do that, but Haywood County's kind of been on the front of e-filing for deeds and plats, and now plats. So, and it's good to see that our county's staying up with technology and keeps, reaching out. And I appreciate Sherry. She's also, unfortunately, we've had past register of deeds, and it's my pet peeve, and she'll tell you that. I can't read the plats, and I have to read every number on that plat because I have to put it on the ground. And if I can't read those numbers, I can't put it on the ground. So we've had a lot of problems with some of the scanning that was done in the past. She's having to do that, and she's been having to do that. And so I know she needs the help because these plats and other documents have to be readable. Every number means something, and if you can't read it, then it's affecting the title of that property because you can't put it on the ground. If you can't put it on the ground, that's a problem because it should be, and it's been mainly due to a lack of, when they were scanned, I don't understand how that works, but the scanner that was used wasn't clear, and it's blurry, and like I say, I have to make that number out. Sometimes the 6s and the 9s and the 8s all look the same, and you've got to know what that is. So anyway, she's been redoing that. I want to thank her for that publicly while I have a chance to do that, because it's very important, and she's even gone back to other surveyors that are still in business to rescan those plats. And just to give you an example, the old Register of Deeds used to give the surveyors their plats back to them, and you wasn't supposed to do that. And so she doesn't have that record, and the record she does have is not sufficient. So we've been able to find a lot of those plats and have them rescanned, because I have a lot of the originals, because I have several surveyors' plats. So I just want you all to understand this office is very important, the Register of Deeds office is, as far as making sure that those maps and deeds are legible, and making sure that, future generations can look at those, because it's very important when you're doing a title to clarify things. And if you can't clarify because the document is blurry or not sufficient, then it's a problem with the title. So I just understand how important the office is, and I know Kirk probably does too. But I know when I have to put it on the ground and I've got neighbors standing there saying, where's it at? I've got to be precise with what my numbers are, and I've got to be able to read them. So, but anyway, I appreciate the fact that you've got revenue to more than cover. You could actually hire 3 or 4 people, well, 2 people anyway, 2 or 3 people with the extra revenue that you've just gotten this year, and the year's not over yet. So anyway, I appreciate all you're doing, especially to get the office back to where, I think we expect it to be, unfortunately, and it hasn't been, and it's just kind of fell in her lap. But I just want to thank Sherry for all this.
Okay, you're adding a half a person. Of course, you've said that, is that half a person going to, keep you from having any kind of a backlog, or do you already have a backlog that's going to require extra?
No.
Okay.
I'll make sure I don't have a
I
backlog.
I know that you've been gone above and beyond, and like Kevin said, I'm not down there very much, but it's pretty obvious what you've done since you've been our Register of Deeds, and but we just want to be sure that you're taken care of, because it's very important, and you do have it's pretty obvious with the numbers, what's going on down there, and we just want to be sure that you. It's not inhibiting your ability to do business down there by not getting more.
Like I said, my office is the first step to what he does, the important job he does, collecting the taxes. If we don't have everything recorded properly and everything isn't, then they don't know who to collect taxes from. So we have to make sure everything's in and up to date at the deadlines, for their deadlines. And we more than meet our state deadlines. We are required to have everything permanently indexed within 30 days, and ours is permanently indexed within 1 day always. So
I just want to be sure we're not shortchanging your office.
Well, I like I said, I could definitely support a full-time, but I'm grateful,
we're going to do the halftime and look at it and see where we go, okay?
I have one question, and I've dealt with half-time employees. It's going to be important for each department to decide what halftime is. I know that's a simple question, but is it halftime each day? Is it every other day? Is it week by week? So, that's because you have jobs that continue for a period of time. So it's important y'all agree on what halftime really is. I know that's a simple question, but it can cause problems.
Yeah, I don't
you had
want
this
to
person
cause
more than I did.
Yeah, I'm worried about the person. I want to make it easier on the employee. We've got to be really careful. I've never done this, and so but I did say to Mike that it can't be a flexible thing. We can't, because to me that would kill the employee. We've got to be considerate of the employee. They need to know where they need to be on what day. So that's what we're going to have to work out. We have discussed several things like half day, mornings tax collector, evenings register of deeds, but we haven't actually decided anything for sure. But I do think we're going to have to be flexible on vacation days and stuff. I think it's going to be, my personal opinion, it's going to be difficult for the employee because that's a lot. My office, there is a lot to learn, and I'm sure tax collector as well. But anyway, I think we can work it. I don't think we'll have a hard time working together, but we definitely need to. I want to be very sensitive to the employee.
So we basically, instead of having two part-time people, we got one person that's full-time is going to be split between the positions, which does make it difficult. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you guys will speak about that and work with Ira, and if anybody needs to talk about anything.
We'd like to have updates too on how that works or how it's going, okay?
I would like to explain to the public how these two offices are located right next to each other, so that will make it easier for this to happen. And when you do come into the county to present a deed, what happens is you walk into the courthouse, and depending on whether you're bringing the title down or whether you're just recording a deed, you take that deed first, generally to land records, which is a place where the deed is actually transferred from one name to the other. That doesn't transfer the title, but for the books in Haywood County and for our records to show who is the owner of the property, land records transfers the name. Then generally you take that deed to the tax office, and before you can record at the register of deeds, the tax office checks that name as well to determine whether the tax has been paid. Matter of fact, I had one Friday where we paid a substantial amount of taxes because of back due taxes on some properties. So they check that, they stamp that as well. So your deed has two stamps, one from land records and one from the tax office. So you've gone to two places to get that checked. Then you take that to the register of deeds to record. And so as far as transferring of land, these offices work together a lot. And you could tell the public, and you have 30% of those deeds that are coming in on e-file. So how does that process take place, and how do the employees have to work to make sure that deed that is e-filed gets stamped?
Well, we have a routing system. When the document comes in to us first, and we check for the exact same things we would if the attorney or recorder was at our counter. And if everything's in order, we route it to land records. They have an electronic stamp. They route it to tax collector. He has an electronic stamp that says the taxes are current or whatever, and then it's routed back to me, and at that point I record it.
Okay.
So that process is covered as well.
All right. And it's, to me, as far as sharing the employee, and I just wanted to say that's kind of what happens, and that's and when people are waiting in line to pay their taxes, and they're waiting in line to record deeds. And then there's a lot of people that come into both of those offices just asking general questions, and I've seen that. I've observed that a lot in either place. And so, and I see that the tax office, as well as the register of deeds and land records, are very helpful to the public. There may be someone out there that differs with me, but anytime I have observed any of their offices interacting with folks in Haywood County and folks from out of Haywood County trying to find information, I see that they do provide that time to help those folks, and actually on things that they don't necessarily have to. But they do that, and I appreciate both of your offices doing that as well. Okay, any other questions or comments?
I guess the only thing I have, Kirk, is just a concern that this half employee is going to be enough for you, Sherry. I hear your concern, and I heard you say that you're having to work with your lunches when you are down a person. So I guess the big question is half a person going to be enough for both of y'all? So maybe that's something we need to look at, or maybe, like Mike said, come back and give us a report how it's going. Because I know that when you do have a half person, it is rough on the employee. They're trying to work both jobs, learn both jobs, which is kind of difficult. So just a concern of mine. We might need to keep an eye on that just to make sure.
And I do think Sherry has placed in her budget the request for a full-time employee.
I do, yes.
As well. Okay. Well, we appreciate you all and hope this can work together. Go ahead, Kevin.
I just want to say, Kirk, along with what you said, I do get compliments from the public about our land records and our register of deeds office, because the information is available to them A vast amount of information is available to them. Sometimes I'll go to other states or other counties and look at their information, and it's not as, we're one of the top, I believe. Maybe it's because I know how to use it, but when I go to other counties and other states and look for records, sometimes it's just non-existent. But here, that information is there for the public, and you can know everything you need to know about a piece of property, just about from your computer. So, I do get a lot of compliments on that.
Just a little historical point. Haywood County was really the second county in the state to have a sophisticated mapping program and land records office after Orange County. And one of the reasons was that Harold Long was on the state land records committee at that time, and he saw to it that our county was out front in that effort years ago.
And we were one of the first to have a computerized index, grantor and grantee index too, because of that, I think. In '85, that's when I came to work there. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? All right. If that's all of the comments on that, then I will entertain a motion to request approval of the reclassification of the three-quarter administrative assistant 2 position in the tax collections office to make it a full-time position to be split between the tax collections office and the registered deeds office.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that passes unanimously. Thank you for being here. Okay, we don't have any other new business. And so next item is closed session. And so I'll entertain a motion for us to go into closed session pursuant to personnel, which is General Statute 143-318.11A6, and closed session minutes, which is General Statute 143-318.11A1. Okay.
So move.
Okay. Bill moved. Mike second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we are in closed session. Thank you. Okay, we are back from closed session, and after closed session, we have some minutes to approve. I will entertain a motion to approve and release closed session minutes regarding attorney-client privilege, General Statute 143-318.11A3 for October 3rd, 2016, 2 sets from October 3rd, 2016.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimously. I will also entertain a motion to approve but not yet release closed session minutes, subject to review at a later date for attorney-client privilege 143-318.11A3 from 2 sets from March 6, 2017, 1 from February 6, 2017, and 1 for January 17, 2017.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and that passes unanimously. I will also entertain a motion to approve but not release closed session minutes regarding personnel, General Statute 143-318.11A6 for October 3rd, 2016, October 7th, 2016, November 7th, 2016, February 6th, 2017, February 20th, 2017, and March 6th, 2017. Also, under the same heading, motion to approve but not release closed session minutes for attorney-client privilege, General Statute 143-318.11A3 for November 7th, 2016, 1 set from January 17th, 2017, 2 sets from February 6th, 2017. And also, personnel, another set of personnel, 143-318.11A6, and attorney-client privilege. These has to do with both of those, I suppose, 143-318.11A3 for October 3rd, 2016, and January 17th, 2017. All right, I know that's a long motion, but I believe we've got
She
it.
says we got it right.
Okay.
So move.
Kevin moves.
Second.
Bill seconds. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and that passes unanimously as well. Okay. Anyone else have anything for our meeting today?
We got our special meeting.
Workshop.
We got
Oh,
work,
okay.
special
All right.
meeting, April 6th.
I need to announce that we're having a special meeting, Haywood County Board of County Commissioners work session. Take notice that the Haywood County Board of Commissioners will hold a special meeting on Thursday, April 6, 2017. This will be beginning at 2:00 p.m. in the Health and Human Services Training Room located at Paragon Parkway, Clyde, North Carolina 28721. And that is Thursday, correct? Well, I just said that.
It's Thursday, yes.
Purpose of this meeting is to conduct a commissioners' work session to continue planning for the 2017-18 fiscal year Haywood County budget. The meeting will include presentations from Haywood County Schools and Haywood Community College. So anyone who would like to attend that meeting, be there at 2:00 at Paragon Parkway. All right. Anything else anybody have to add? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.